So now to a couple of big names on Capitol Hill. Senator Ted Cruz and Congressman Chris Van Hollen, ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee. We begin with the Democrat, Congressman Van Hollen. Good to see you, sir. Let me pick up where the panel just left off, talking about how they believe, quote, we were lied to, and how virtually none of them were behind the president anymore on this health care law. A lot of Democrats sitting here who voted for him. Your thoughts?
Well, Megyn, I think you know as well as I do that at this point, speeches on this issue from either side aren't going to change the outcome of the policy. What will be the final verdict on this issue is whether, in the months to come, more Americans will have affordable health care. And speeches either way aren't going to change that. And the only way that will change people's minds one way or another is the ultimate test at the end of March and beyond, whether more people have affordable health care. So, look, at this point in the political debate on health care in this country, as the president indicated, it's hard to change minds through words. Only the product at the end of the day, I think, will let people decide. After all, in its early days, things like Medicare were not universally popular. The prescription drug bill under Bush was not popular.
That does speak to the policy and their frustration with it, but it doesn't speak to the trust issue and the belief by some here in the panel and many in the country. I mean, PolitiFact said the president was guilty of the lie of the year last year, and if you like your plan, you can keep it. And I think perhaps that's in part what led the president to say this tonight on the subject of trust. Listen.
As president, I'm committed to making Washington work better and rebuilding the trust of the people who sent us here.
So he wants to rebuild the trust. How does he do that when he's been found guilty, if you will, of lie of the year on Obamacare?
Well, Megyn, I think the president has acknowledged mistakes he's made, and the best way to gain support and trust on this bill is through what ends up being a good product. And so they're working very hard to try and deliver the best affordable care plan to the country. And people who were against it, many of them are now for it when they can get policies even though they had pre-existing conditions and were denied. And there may be other people who were favorable who are no longer for it.
Just so the viewers know, and I'll give you the floor, but the latest Fox News poll shows that 59% of the American public now oppose this law. 59%. It's at a record high.
Well, again, I think the ultimate test will be how this works at the end of the day.
Okay.
There are also, as I said, and you know, many Americans who are doing better. Oh, there's lots of Americans who are doing better. There's some who think they're doing worse. And so let's just wait till this all filters through the system.
Okay, let me move on. Let me ask you, because one of the criticisms of the president's speech tonight was that it was light on new initiatives. And we heard some of our panel talk about this tonight, saying they believed it was short on substance. They weren't too moved by the MyRA retirement account proposal, or I guess we're going to call it Myra. And, you know, we got a lot of people, we got millions and millions of people who have left the workforce altogether, which some say explains this lower unemployment rate. People are really hurting in America right now and didn't hear the big idea from our president tonight. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Megyn, I think one of his big ideas was the one he laid out early in the speech, and which was popular on a bipartisan basis with Frank's focus group there, and that is the idea of closing a lot of the special interest tax breaks that do reward corporations that move jobs overseas rather than sell products overseas, to shut down those loopholes, lower some of the business tax rates, and you can use some of the income generated in that process to invest in our national infrastructure, to invest in jobs here at home. Now, that used to be a bipartisan idea, the idea that the federal government has a role in modernizing our infrastructure, whether it's our roads or our bridges or broadband. I hope we recapture that bipartisan spirit.
Let me ask you another question on the subject of bipartisan spirit before I get to Senator Cruz. The president talked about doing it by himself. You know, he's talked in the recent days about having his pen and his phone. I have a pen and a phone too, but he's the president, so it counts more. And he's talking about bypassing you. And I saw you stand up and applaud him. I mean, there's a reason that we put you in office and we put the Republicans in office, and you're supposed to work together because you represent the people. You're there standing up for us. So why did you get up and applaud him on that?
Well, no, Megyn, I will be the first person to defend congressional prerogatives. And so, as the president indicated, he would like Congress to work with them to pass a national minimum wage so more people can keep more of the fruits of their labor. He understands he can't do that by himself as president, but he does understand as the chief executive, when it comes to the federal government procuring goods and services, he can allow the federal government to lead by example and say, if you want to do business with the federal government, at least pay your employees a wage that allows them to stay out of poverty if they got a couple of kids. That seems to be a decent thing to do. And as the chief executive and the head of the executive branch, I hope we will lead by example.
Great to see you, sir. Thanks for being on.
Good to see you, Megyn. Thank you.